Welcome to Over 40 Fabulous and Pregnant. I am your host, Jamey Massey, and you are listening to episode 90. If you are looking for pregnancy stories of women over 40, today we have something a little different. Now, we started with episode 70 with roundtable episodes, and that's exactly what we have today. Today on the show, we have Jenna and Jamey back on the show to discuss pregnancy after loss over 40. This was a show that was voted on over on Instagram. And this is the last show before I go on maternity leave. As I've mentioned, I'm not sure how long I'm going to take off from the podcast, but I'll be jumping on here and there and giving updates that aren't exactly full episodes. But for our last episode, I wanted to end it with a roundtable discussion. Yes, we are talking about pregnancy after loss, but I think we do a good job with sharing our experiences and not making it a really sad show, if you will. Jenna's experience is different than Jamey's because hers were natural conceptions after already having several children. Jamey's journey, not me by the way, hers was a 10-year journey to her daughter through embryo adoption. So I love the diversity of the two stories of natural conception with already having kids and the IVF journey, kind of contrasting those. And this week's listener feedback comes from Faizima over on Instagram. I hope I'm saying her name right. She says, I am 2 weeks behind you at 36 weeks according to my ultrasound, but according to my first day of my last period, I'm 37 weeks. I'm 42 years old. Love listening to your podcast. I had 3 girls when I was in my 20s. Now, baby number 4 is a complete surprise. When I found out I was pregnant, I was freaking out due to my age and the stigma that comes with it. I desperately Googled and searched for podcasts looking for 40 plus pregnancy experiences and came across yours. Thank you. God bless. Faizima, I know I said it to you over on Instagram, but I'm going to say it again. Congrats on baby number 4. I'm sure you are not alone about freaking out about your age, but I hope you are more comfortable being pregnant at 42 after hearing all these stories on the show. We've shared quite a few stories from women being pregnant in their 20s and now having a surprise in their 40s. I just love it. So enjoy the rest of your pregnancy, and I can't wait for you to meet your baby boy. I'm 38 weeks pregnant. Are you sick of hearing this baby is breech yet? Because I am sick of it for sure. I had the appointment for the moxibustion. I didn't say that right. Whatever. The acupuncture treatment. It seems totally woo-woo, but if it works, who cares? The acupuncturist, she burned this stick of herbs. I think it's mugwort is the herb. And it's almost like it was a cigarette, but it was a really big one. And she held it right by my pinky toe and then alternated. Like, she would hold it there for like 20, 30 seconds and then switch to my other toe. And then she sent me home with the 2 sticks, like one that she burned and then a brand new one. And then my husband did it twice yesterday. And it seems like the baby wants to move. Like, there's such big movements, but this guy is still breech. I'm just so frustrated. Our next appointment with the midwives is today, Monday, the day this show actually comes out. And so I kind of want to see what they have to say about this. I'm guessing we're probably going to move forward with the it's the ECV to rotate him. The doctor actually rotates him from the outside. It looks extremely painful, but I guess that's where we are at the moment. But I'm just so ready to have this baby Earthside and to get to hold him. And the next time I speak with you, I could either be in labor or have already had him. How crazy and exciting is that? So with that, let's get into our last show, Pregnancy After Loss Over 40 Roundtable Discussion. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having us.
And today we have Jenna from episode 44 on and Jamey from episode 48 as returning guests to discuss pregnancy after loss over 40. But before we get into the show, ladies, will you tell us a little bit about yourself? Jenna, you want to go first?
Oh, sure. I am a mom of 5, a 30-year-old, a 27-year-old, a 13-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 4-year-old. And I started having babies when I was 17, and my last was when I was 43. All girls.
All natural conception, too.
All natural, yes, all natural. And I had 5 miscarriages total, but 4 back-to-back before I had my 4-year-old.
Yes.
When I was 43, yeah.
Yeah. Jamey, you want to go next?
Yeah, so I'm 42 presently. I got pregnant I'm losing time is a construct in my brain. So I got pregnant at 40 through embryo adoption in 2022. And then we had Winnie in 2023. I was 41 when I delivered. And she was our first live birth, our first child. She's our only child. 2 miscarriages before her, all IVF babies. We had 10 years of fertility treatments. We started the general route of inseminations in 2013, and then started IVF in 2014 and went to donor egg, didn't work, and then, ended up in our route of embryo adoption and got our girl.
Yeah,
Aww.
you've been through it, Jamey.
Yeah, you really have.
Yeah.
So before we kind of get started with our questions, I kind of wanted to define loss and our goals. And so with science, I think loss is more than just miscarriage. There are so many other things like losing an embryo to a thaw, ectopic pregnancies, losing fallopian tubes, failed IVF cycles, etc. And I think loss looks different for all of us. And I kind of want to honor all of that. But I also don't want to really define it either for anybody. Do y'all have anything to add to that?
No, I can completely agree. I think every time we had to transition from going from trying naturally to a fertility treatment, in my book, it was kind of a loss because it felt like a failure. So kind of a loss.
Yeah.
And then that step didn't work. So we had to transition to something else. And that felt like a loss. So I think that it all should be treated with that respect because it feels that way sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. I can't imagine the disappointment that I'm so sorry that you had to go that way. I'm so sorry it happened that way for you.
Listen, I hated it through the moment. Don't get me wrong, but now I look back and I wouldn't have traded a second of it, for the daughter that we got, thanks to some beautiful couple that decided to, I'm going to cry already. It's too early. Not going to do
it. So our goal of the show is to really normalize loss over 40. because loss is a part of so many of our journeys, and we are definitely not alone. So in this show, let's talk about our experiences and a few things we learned, and maybe we can share with other women that are also going through this too.
For sure. I know that when I was going through it all, like what I was dealing with, which was totally different than what Jamey was dealing with, I was looking for literally anything online that I could find, any group, any like podcast, I mean, just like literally anything I could find, any like, like blog. I mean, I was just trying to find any sort of thing that I could grab onto that I thought might help me or give me hope. That was one thing that like, I think I needed the most was hope.
Mm-hmm. Connection. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like, I agree with you completely. I was looking for hope, but then I got really upset when people offered the hope.
Oh gosh.
Like when people were like, oh, well, my friend's cousin, sister, brother, friend, after they adopted, they got pregnant. Or after they did IVF, they got pregnant.
Uh-huh.
Or, and I was in the moment looking back, yeah, I didn't like that. Like, I wasn't looking for that because I wasn't your brother, sister, cousin, friend. Like my story is very unique, and and I was very open about it for a reason. And so it kind of sometimes felt like they were just clumping our story into everyone else's, and rather just looking at me and being like, that sucks. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So
people, it's just, they don't know what to say. And I think, and you can't like fault them on that, I just feel, yeah.
Yes.
It is.
And now
it is
after the fact,
to know what to say.
Yes. And now I'm knowing like that's how people connect, is by relating to you somehow. Yeah. But that's, I think, a PSA for me, is that start with the I'm sorry, that sucks.
Yeah.
Statement before the I have a situation that doesn't involve me at all.
Yeah.
But
I totally agree with you, Jamey.
Yeah, that is a really good point.
Yeah, because I don't need to hear. I just want you to listen to me. Yeah. Like, I don't want
my story.
Yeah. Yep. I'm just here to tell you my story. And if you're just going to not listen and just tell me about someone else's story, then I'm not going to be open with you anymore. So, but I will say it was lovely on Instagram connecting with other women, regardless of our journeys. Whether they were similar or not, but like, because we were, very sensitive to that. And we were just open to listening to each other. So those are the people that I fell in love with through this journey, and that we just were open books to each other and just open arms and just listening. And there was no offering of hope. It was just like, that sucks. I'm sorry. Because it's okay to be pissed off about it, So
yeah, I think it's also the lack of education of other people, because if they haven't been through IVF, it's really hard to relate.
Yeah. And which is why I'm so open about it, because now in my 40s, now I'm very patient, and, people can offer their stories that they have. And I'm like, oh, that's amazing. But 10 years ago, I didn't want to hear it. Now you can tell me anything and I'll be like, that's so cool, because I'm on the other side of it. Yeah. So it's easier to have, less stress, and I don't know, but you're right. I'm so open about it now. So that way other people, can have more understanding for their future friends in this situation. Unfortunately, it's going to happen. Or, or they can send their friends my way if they don't know what to say, because that's happened too. Yeah. I've had great connections with strangers through other friends because they were like, I don't know how to help you. I'm sorry. I love you, but I have a friend that does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's been lovely too. The internet is a beautiful thing for those reasons.
Yeah, definitely. Well, y'all ready to get into the questions?
Sure.
Yeah.
We kind of already talked about our loss with the intro, so I think I'm going to skip that one. Overall, how was your pregnancy after loss? Jamey, you want to go first on that one?
Yeah, it was surprisingly okay. The first trimester was definitely scary for me, but it was easy, like physically. I had a little bit of like food aversion. So I was very lucky. I always like to say that the universe owed me an easy
Uh,
pregnancy after everything. So I
yeah.
definitely got that. But I'll tell you, like every time I peed, I was checking the toilet paper
Yeah.
or, yeah, the toilet or whatever. And we did have spotting. I'm not even, I want to say it was after we told family. I think I was like 10 weeks or something. And I'm not even kidding you. I think it was like the day after we told my parents and my sister and stuff. Like I started spotting and I was like, are you kidding me? Like, and we called the doctor and she's like, is it heavy? And I was like, no, it's not like it was the last time. And she's like, okay, like just, keep me posted. And it went away within like 12 hours. Like it was just light, but it was bright red. So that made me scared. And that was the only time, but like seriously, I was like, this is happening again. But it didn't. Obviously, she's here. She's downstairs. So the first trimester was definitely very scary. A lot of PTSD happening. But I don't know. It was something like as soon as that 13, or I think it was more like 14 weeks, and I started feeling better and my energy was back. Like, I don't know. I just kind of went with it and just kind of kept my fingers crossed behind my back, hoping that all was good. And like I said, thankfully, because I was geriatric, we did get to see her. I think in the second trimester, we were still only like once a month with the maternal fetal medicine doctor, but it was still, more than the regular OB. So we got to see her regularly and everything was good. Everything was good. So that helped. So that's the perk, as I mentioned, the perk of being quote unquote geriatric is that you do get to see them a lot more often. We have so many sonogram pictures, which is amazing, both 3D, 4D, all the things. And so that was the perk. So if it weren't for that, I think I would have had a harder time with it.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you ask for those 4D scans?
So we eventually went to like a place that had like the real like 4D where like you could see, but so like at the maternal fetal medicine doctor, they have that, but they're not as good as those places that aren't covered by insurance. And so it was nice to see her outside of that because at the ones at like the place we actually had to pay for, you could see her eyelashes.
Oh my
And
gosh, really?
I'm not even kidding you. And you
Oh,
could see her little hairs on the back of her head.
yeah.
And
Fun.
it was
Wow.
insane. Because like in the ultrasound, they said like it looks like she has eyelashes, but we're not really sure. But like on the 4D one, like you could see them.
Wow.
It was insane. So yeah, so they did them at the maternal fetal medicine place. So
Mm-hmm.
that was cool. Yeah.
We got the bill for that and it was like $1,500 for the fetal, whatever the anatomy scan was. And he wanted to see us again. And I'm like, not for $1,500 a pop. No.
Yeah, for what? Yeah,
Yeah.
like why?
Yeah. So we canceled all those appointments.
Mm,
But Jenna,
okay.
what about you?
Okay, wait, I've already forgot the question. Sorry. I'm like, I have ADD. What was the question again?
Overall, mentally, how was your pregnancy after loss?
Okay, sorry. Because I was just like involved in hers and I was like, yeah. Oh my God, yeah. And then I totally lost what it was all about. Okay. So with her, I had 4 miscarriages before and I was not spotting, but I was like clots and like just blood. And I was just like, oh, it's another miscarriage again. Like I thought for sure it was. And so I just assumed it was a miscarriage. And then that same, or the next day, I was at, what was it called? City Museum in St. Louis with my kids. And I was like, oh, well, I'm already having a miscarriage. I'm going to go down this slide. And I went down this like big metal slide, which 5 minutes before I went down the slide, I was like, I wonder how many bones are broken here. And then I went down the slide and hit my hand. And I was like, oh my God, I just broke my hand. And then we're in the middle of something. And my husband's like running around playing. I'm like, no, I'm serious. I just broke my hand. And he's like, you serious? And then you had to go down another slide to get out. And I was like, I don't want to go down this slide. And I flew out. And then I broke my tail and I broke my tail. So I had a broken hand and a broken tailbone. And I was like, just, I thought I was having another miscarriage too, so there was like so much happening. And I was like, are you kidding me? And so we were on vacation. So I waited another like 2 days until we got back to Wisconsin. And then I went to the hospital or the like walk-in clinic or whatever. And I was like, hi, I broke my hand and my tailbone and I'm probably having a miscarriage. And they didn't think that I actually had a broken hand because I went 2 days with it, and I was like, no, you really need to x-ray it. So yes, broken hand, broken tailbone. And then they couldn't do an ultrasound. So I had to go to the hospital for that. And then they told me that the baby was fine and that I had, and I'm so bad with pronunciations, like a subchorionic hemorrhage or something like that.
Yep, that's it. Yep.
And so I was like, oh my God, thank God. I thought just like all the other ones, she was a goner. I assumed the worst because it was a lot of blood. I mean,
it is a lot of blood with those.
Yeah. And it slowly tapered off. But like you said, it is that PTSD where every time I went to the bathroom, I was just like, okay, because it's so nerve-wracking. And one of the miscarriages I had, I made it to the 12-week where everybody's like, yay, and the percentage of, and if you've seen the heartbeat on the ultrasound, you have a such and such percentage of, that it being successful. So I was already past all of that. And then I miscarried. So I didn't feel safe, honestly, for me until I was holding my baby. I honestly didn't feel I had that PTSD that I just didn't think it was actually going to happen until it actually did. And that was like, I literally stayed up for the entire time I was in the hospital. I could not fall asleep because I had so much hormones and adrenaline and everything that I just sat there and held her and stared at her the entire time. My husband went to sleep and I was like, okay. And I thought I'd go to sleep, but I couldn't go to sleep because I just couldn't believe she was there. I just couldn't believe she was there because after 4 losses like that, I just did not think it was going to happen.
Yeah, I get that. Because all through my pregnancy, like halfway through, I finally kind of was okay, like this might really happen. But I was just in disbelief the whole time. Like we did a tour at the birthing center and I laughed like on my drive home because I was like, these people actually think I'm going to give birth.
Oh, I didn't even do one.
Oh, you didn't?
Wow. I didn't believe that because I didn't want to jinx it. So I didn't even do it.
Yeah, I get that. And even now I'm like buying things and it just feels weird. And the first time someone gave me a gift, I like looked at it and I was like, who is this for? Like it's just like, it's so bizarre having so much like bad news. Yeah. And then now everything is working out. Your brain is like, I don't understand. Yeah.
And it wants to protect you too at the same time.
Exactly.
Just in case, even though there's no just in case, but like just in case, that's what it's thinking for you.
Yeah, definitely.
It's so bizarre.
It really is. And how do you think your pregnancy was different because you experienced loss? Jenna, you want to take that one?
You're like, have Jenna do it because she'll forget the question later. I feel like I already answered that question. But I think the pictures are so important. I love looking back at the pictures because I just think everybody should take as many pictures, even though you feel like, please don't take my picture. Oh my God, I'm huge. Just take the picture because I love looking back at those pictures. I absolutely do because you just can't take enough pictures. Seriously.
I agree.
But I do have a question, Jenna, because you were pregnant 4 times before that one. Like, was there anything physically different at 43 than your other ones that were you
Well,
stronger? Were you?
I had hyperemesis. So
Okay.
I was throwing up all the time, which was a new thing for me. So that was quite unfortunate. I did have the gestational diabetes with my 9-year-old also. So I did know I was probably going to have that. I was lucky I was able to keep it under control just by my diet. But as far as the difference in even when I was 17, I don't feel like there was any difference as far as like my energy or anything like that. I literally was like, I'm pregnant. Like it like I wasn't one of those people that was like, I love being pregnant. I'm so, I was like, this sucks. Like this is gonna be worth it. But like I just was in pain, my back hurt, like all the things that come with it. But as far as any difference like that way, no. And all the doctors that I did see beforehand that were doing all the tests and everything, they could never find any actual reason. They just kept saying your age, your age, your age. There wasn't anything, just my age. So, and there was even doctors that were telling me, that I had like such and such percent, which was like no percent of, ever having a live birth without, IVF or, donor eggs and all other kind of stuff. And I even went on, I think her name is Susan Weed, and she's supposed to be some sort of like guru of like herbal things. And she's well renowned out of the entire world. And she has books and everything. And she has some sort of like radio podcast kind of show. And so I went on there asking her who she was like, I'm, empowering women and everything. And I was 42, I think at the time. And she was like, oh, your eggs are too old. You're not going to be able to have a baby. And I was like, oh my God, I took her books, and I love books, by the way, worked at the library. I love books. I threw all her books in the garbage because I was like, no,
trash.
Seriously, and all I asked her was like, do you have any recommendations of herbs I could take or, and she went on to tell me that I was too old and my eggs were too old. And I was like, oh my God. So sorry, I just said her name, but
Susan Trash, we'll call her. Susan Trash.
But I'm like, proved you wrong.
Okay, Jamey, do you want to add anything to that question? How do you think your pregnancy was different because you experienced loss?
I mean, I never experienced really pregnancy before because our losses were always very early. Thankfully, I don't know if that makes sense, but we never saw a heartbeat ever. So I don't know how it would have been different, but I loved being pregnant. I honestly,
oh, you were lucky.
like I said, the universe owed me a little bit of something. They gave me a good pregnancy and a really good baby. So I really don't have much to add because I didn't know what to expect or how, or anything to compare it to. I will say that my younger sister, who's had 3 kids, her pregnancies were always a little hard because, she was always nauseous and a little sick. So I wasn't looking forward to that, assuming that I was going to feel the same way. Again, genetics, but I never had the fraction of the sickness or the nausea that she had. So I loved being pregnant. I really did.
That's so lucky.
Well, Jamey, what were some of your thoughts that helped you through pregnancy?
The only thing that I can think of is, honestly, I think it was my age that was in my favor because I had a lot more patience in general. I didn't care as much about anything. I was just more willing to hang out, relax, just be on the couch, or just, I was such an avid runner when we started our family, when we first got married. I loved running marathons, and, it got to the point where I was told that my running marathons was causing my infertility, which is not true. Don't ever listen to anybody if they tell you that. So I think just not caring about anything, honestly, just helped me because I didn't care what I ate, to be honest. I did have an image before I got pregnant, I was going to eat healthy. I wanted to be a healthy pregnant person. But then when I had these food aversions, all I could eat was bread and pizza and crackers. And I had a little bit of guilt about that. And I talked to the doctor, and she's like, if you're keeping food in, you're good. Like, take your multivitamin, take your, you'll eventually even out everything. Your baby's getting what the baby needs. And I was like, okay, okay. So I just leaned into that real good. And I don't know. I think my age really just helped me because I didn't have as much stress and anxiety as I think I would have had I been 30, because my 30-year-old self would have been anxious at everything I was putting in my body, everything that somebody said to me, every pound I gained, especially my history with eating disorders, I think would have really had an impact on the way I was eating and treating myself. So yeah, my age was a silver lining for sure for me.
Jenna, what about you? What thoughts helped you through pregnancy?
Well, I think the universe did all of the things it did with the whole breaking my tailbone and hand, because they told me that I had to stay off it at least for 6 weeks because it would heal better. So I literally laid for like as much as humanly possible, which is totally not what I can normally do with having 2 children that needed me. But I laid down like as much as humanly possible. And I think that helped me in a way. And I know this sounds like really hokey, but I did have a dream that said that that was like kind of the whole reason everything fell into place, was that I was like staying on the couch and like not getting up and moving all the time and everything. And in my dream, it was like some like guardian angel that was like, this is how it had to happen. And I know that sounds really hokey, and it was just like a dream, but it stuck out and it stuck with me. And so yeah.
Yeah, I can relate with Jamey because my age, listening to all these stories really helped me too. Like, I know they help the listeners, but it's like they are helping me to get through all of this loss. And so I really thought, who cares? I'm 42. It's going to happen one way or another. And it really helped me through that age factor.
Good.
Well, let's see. Is there anything you wish you did or thought differently during your pregnancy because of loss? Jenna, you want to answer that one?
No, I really don't think that I could have done anything differently or would have, because I was looking through it with the glasses that I had from the previous experiences. And so you can't really change the past,
Yeah.
And I guess I mean, the pictures are the things that I'm so glad that I didn't, because, you just feel so big. And I'm so glad that I have pictures to look back on. I don't know, because I just love them. And I look back at them and I was like, oh my God, I'm like a goddess in these pictures.
As you should.
Yeah, I'm with you. I took monthly, if not bi-monthly, of the same position on the couch, and it was just my belly with me like crisscross applesauce with like my phone picturing down on my belly.
Oh.
And so you can just see eventually, like, you can't see my feet anymore. You can't see my couch eventually. Like, and so it's like really cool to see that progression. So I agree with you. Like, the pictures, I still love looking at them.
Yeah.
But I wish I journaled more. Through my whole infertility journey, I journaled a lot. But I will say, as the years went on, it journaled less and less and less, to the point where I think that I stopped in like 2021. And then I never updated them after or even before we got pregnant, like the few cycles before that. And I'm a little bummed at myself, but it was just so depressing. So it was like every time I had an exciting cycle coming up, like I got excited, I'd write about it. And then I'd get bad news. And it was the same thing I used to be so open on social media about our journey. And I'd keep people abreast of like everything that was happening when we had cycles. But then I had to tell everybody when it didn't work. And it got to the point where I was like, y'all, I can't do this anymore. It's not only just depressing that I have to hear the news, but then I have to deliver it to like you, whether I know you in real life or not. So I stopped doing that. But I wish I hadn't stopped journaling because I want to pick that back up so Winnie has something to look back on. And so she could really see all the stuff that mom and dad went through to get her.
Yeah.
So she could kind of understand where she comes from, because I'm sure it's going to be confusing as an embryo adopted baby. Like, what's that going to, because she's going to end up meeting her future family because, you know, DNA is all over the place now. And, you know, 23andMe and Ancestry DNA. So she's going to end up finding these other family members. And we're going to tell her, like, we're very open. Obviously, we're not going to like hold it from her, but like, I just wish I did that more. So I keep thinking about it and I don't do it because I'm too tired. She's only one, but that's that. I wish I'd done it more, and I plan to start doing it again because one, it could make a great book, but also if not, it could be a great thing just to have her, you know, be able to understand a little bit more about where she came from and why, maybe.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, even my pregnancy books are a little empty, and I kind of feel guilt about that because I kind of wish I've written more about it. But maybe
her first year book is completely empty because I'm still like in shock that she's here. So don't feel bad.
Good. And maybe I'm superficial, but like I wish I was more in shape before I got pregnant. Like I wish
I'm like, what?
I wish I did more to get just in shape and like stayed ready for birth and all that. But, you know, that's just the perfect world situation.
Yeah.
And you're ready for birth. Like your body's got this. You got this.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're breathing. You got this.
Yeah,
I got this.
I was very active and I don't think it helped an iota. So you're fine.
Well, good. That makes me feel a little better.
Honestly, I don't think it makes a difference. It's going to be good or bad regardless, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. What helped you through pregnancy loss? Jamey, you want to take that one?
Nothing. I just had to feel it. Like I don't think anything helps besides time. I mean, being open about it, I think so. My first actual miscarriage, like, because that to me was like the first time I felt pure joy finding out I was pregnant. And then 2 weeks later, it was all taken away. Like that to me was the first time where, I don't know, like I really grieved our journey in general. I think it all hit me like, oh, this might not ever happen. And it took me a while to be open with it to people beyond family. And when it was amazing that people were like, oh yeah, I had a miscarriage, or yeah, I had, you know, more people were open with me. And I was like, I understand not everybody wants to blast it on social media or call a friend when it's happening, but also like, I don't know, I definitely would have felt less alone in the actual moment if I knew who to call when it was happening. I'm not blaming anybody, but like I didn't honestly know anybody that had been through a miscarriage. So, but I don't think it really would have helped. It would have just been another person for me to bitch to, excuse my language, but like, I just, you know, and I was very mad at myself because I had gotten the COVID vaccine and I blamed that. And who knows, it could have been part of it. It might not. I have no idea. I'll never know. And I don't know. I still am curious about that child, like about, you know, what that child would have been like if it was my fault or not. But I can't dwell on it. As soon as I get those, like, is it my fault feelings, I have to move on because I can't do anything about it to change it. I can just, you know, say it is what it is. It happened and move on. On it, like time is really, and even then, like I said, like there are days that I still mourn that loss. So I think just time makes it less painful, maybe. I don't know. I wish I had something more profound to offer, but I I think you just have to feel it. If you don't feel it, you're not gonna move on from it. I think is my best advice. Like I had to sit in it for a really long time. And I even said it, I think I may have said this on our episode, Jamie, like my when I was in the middle of the miscarriage, my husband pulled out his back or something and he was complaining to me about it. And I looked at him like with the eyes of someone who might stab you in the face with my eyeballs. Like, if you complain to me one more second about your back while I am bleeding our child out of my body and like, clotting and he just looked at me like, oh yeah, sorry. I will take my complaints elsewhere. Like, yeah, like, so make sure your partners know their audience if they have complaints during those times.
Yeah.
So tell them to read a room. But that's the one thing that, I look back on and at least makes me giggle a little bit. But yeah, I don't know, just time and feel it.
Yeah.
Jenna, do you have any better ideas?
I'm like, I have nothing profound to say. Yeah, I was just so determined. I didn't care what statistics said. I didn't care what any doctor told me, what that lady told me. I just was bound and determined to prove everybody wrong. And I was lucky that I have a really good group of friends and family and my husband that it had to be the most annoying thing, honestly, to be like, I'm having another miscarriage to them be like, I'm bleeding. And they're like, oh God, I have to do that. I'm sure, that it had to be annoying after a while because they're like, oh my God, this is like her 1, 2, they lost count too, I'm sure, but they still listened to me and let me vent, venting. I'm so a venter that somehow that makes me feel better in some sort of strange, odd way. So I had people that probably were so sick of hearing the same thing over and over again, but they'd never said anything like that to me. And all of the people, except for one person, I have an aunt who experienced loss. Otherwise, every other person that I was talking to had never had, oh no, I have another friend who did. So I said, take that back. But there was a lot of people that could not relate, but they still just listened to me. That was so helpful that they just listened, And I was such a nerd that I was always on the internet trying to find like positive kind of like impossible has I'm possible in it, like stupid little things that I would read, like little memes that I was like saving so I could look back, and I kept them in a little folder that were like positive things that I could like think about or whatever. But yeah, those are the things that the support system of just people being there for me, whether they knew what to say or not, meant a lot to me. So I have some really good friends and family that I'm really, really grateful for. And my husband was always really good of just letting me vent, so yeah.
Yeah. For me, journaling really helped, and like figuring out what were the thoughts in my head. And I always took my losses and like miscarriages as a possibility of what is possible. Like I always thought like, this is my body trying. This is possible. It's just not going to happen this time. And I really took that to heart. Every loss really helped me.
I'm with you. Because my first pregnancy was February 2021, which ended up as our first miscarriage. And as disappointing as that was the first time we ever got a positive. So I'm with you with that, Jamie. Like it was like, oh my God, like this could actually, and that was with an adopted embryo. So we were like, we're on the right path. Like I'm a scientist by trade. So I was like, our experiments are working. So I'm with you. I think that you're right. That kind of helped me too. And being like, okay, we're in the right direction. Like what we're doing is getting us closer to this finish line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't make it easier. Oh, sorry, Jenna.
No.
It didn't
I'm
make it
sorry.
easier. I still grieved, but I
Yes.
still had those thoughts that really helped me move forward.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was the thoughts to move forward and reading other people's experiences. And I'm a big nerd where I'm on like every support group possible, right? On Facebook. Like I'm on so many like support groups. And so I always just kept thinking for me, because my journey was different than your guys, was that like I just needed one golden egg, like one egg, and that's all I needed, like, and that miracles happen every day. And so I just kept thinking that kind of thought process and reading people's stories of like this, where they had the loss and then it was successful. Like for me, because my journey was so different than your guys' journey. But I just kept trying to be as positive as I could about it all and keep thinking that it just took one egg, just one.
Yep.
Yep. I love that. Now, is there any silver lining from pregnancy after loss, like lessons learned or takeaways, anything positive, if that is possible? Jenna, what do you think?
I mean, see, I think it also was the age too that I soaked up every second with a newborn and with a baby. And I knew that this too shall pass, so I held her like she hardly was ever put down, I feel like that also was my age too, but I just soaked up every minute of it because it was such a miracle that it happened. You know what I mean? I was just so grateful that I don't know if that was from the loss or my age, but yeah, I just soaked up every minute because it finally happened. I kept saying like, I had my take home baby. I always wish not just to get pregnant, but to get pregnant to have a take home baby. Like it's so dumb, but I had my take home baby and I soaked up as every minute of it. I was so like, even when my back was hurting, like after I had her, and I'd be like, when I'd lay her down, I'd be like, I don't care because I'm laying her down. I'm so glad that my back hurts because, like in the sense that I have a reason that my back hurts and I'm laying her down and it didn't seem as bad.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 100% agree with Jenna. Like the age thing, as I mentioned before, was a secret silver lining, but also because I was at my job for, at the time, I guess 15 years, I had so much leave. I worked for the government. So like I have all this leave built up and we have FMLA in place. We don't have maternity. Well, we didn't. We do now. We didn't have maternity leave at the time. So I took 6 months. I was like, bye. Like I've given you 15 years of my life. I am not going to feel bad for walking out of here for 6 months and going and bonding with this little baby I've been working so hard for. And so, yeah, that's where I think the silver lining of being 41 was. I had zero guilt about it. I think I went back a little bit too early at one point. I tried to go back. She was born in May, and in September, I said I could come back to do like testimonies for court. I work in law enforcement, and it didn't work out. It was too stressful. So then I ended up pulling back and being like, nope, never mind. I can't do this. And they were understanding because, listen, I've been with them for so long and they know my journey because I'm open about it. And so they were like, nope, you stay home. You're good. We'll figure it out. And so, yeah, I think, and I try to tell my younger coworkers, like, don't be afraid to take the extra time if you can. Like, it's worth every second. It was harder coming back maybe after 6 months of being gone. It took me a month to get my bearings and, settle and not watching, the daycare app for every second of the day. But yeah, I think having that, that I don't care what anyone else thinks, I'm going to take this time off was a silver lining for that. So
I'm not sure this podcast would be here if I didn't have all that loss, honestly.
Yeah.
It really helped me move forward. And okay, now we're kind of into the advice section of the show. What advice do you have for women who are pregnant or will be pregnant after loss?
Listen to your body. If you want to rest, rest. Like, don't, like, if you're an active energizer bunny like me and you're just so used to, being active, and, it's okay not to be. It took me a little bit to like listen to that more. And then in the third trimester, I couldn't even do anything without kicking myself in the stomach. So it was no option except like stretching. But listen to your body, eat whatever you want. Like, don't, and it doesn't matter how much you weigh before, it doesn't matter how much you weigh after. It's all going to be different. It doesn't matter. The thing that matters is the little baby at the end of this rainbow, like that's the end of the journey. That's what matters. And advocate for yourself. I wish I had advocated for myself more, whether that's doing what Jamey's doing with a doula, or really I didn't have a birth plan, which is fine. That wasn't my issue. I didn't have one because I was like, listen, I just want this baby to come out of me safely, however that comes out, whether it's vaginal, cesarean. That part was fine, but I wish I would have advocated more for myself without being induced too early. They were so concerned about my age, even though my pregnancy was so easy. I was super healthy. I had no issues, no gestational diabetes. Then I ended up being preeclamptic during my labor because they induced me without being effaced, without being dilated, anything. So just advocate for yourself. If you don't feel ready, don't induce. That's my biggest regret, I think, is not advocating for myself. So I could go on for hours about it, so I'll just leave it there.
Jenna, what about you?
Jamey said it all perfectly. I was going to talk about I was like, oh my gosh, she's saying everything. Yes, advocate for yourself. And that whole, like you said, you had a perfect pregnancy. There was really no reason except for age, that stop them and ask them, but is there a medical reason? Is there, there's like a lower, heart rate, or, just something that was a medical reason that they had to, do this or do that, and just, take a little bit to think it over. But yeah, advocating for yourself was the big one that I was going to say.
Yeah, because even like
they bully
so
you.
they
bully you.
yes.
They really do. Really.
When
really
I would
do.
ask, they said, well, the older you are, the more complications you have. And I said, okay, but what are my complications? And they didn't have answers. And they make you, right? They make you schedule your induction. But just because you schedule your induction doesn't mean you're going to be induced on that day. Because if they don't have room in the hospital for you, they push you away. So I wish I wouldn't have done it because they kept pushing my induction date back anyway. So she actually ended up being delivered after I was 40 weeks. So it just don't listen to them. If you don't have any medical, just advocate for yourself. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical professional. We're not medical professionals, but just advocate for yourself, please. Yes. That's my biggest regret from my whole experience.
Some babies are late. I had one baby that was 2 weeks late.
And I think in Europe, they have their gestational average is like 42 weeks. Like it's not even 40. So why we're at 40 weeks, it's probably because of our healthcare system. Don't get me started.
Yeah, I know, right? And the more interventions I keep seeing, the more interventions that they do, the more interventions of the C-section and all the other kind of stuff, So, like advocating, and if your body can do it naturally, I think that for my experience anyways, from being induced and then not being induced, it was night and day. I mean, it sucked both all the times. Like, how they say if you have, it gets easier every pregnancy and faster. It never did for me. Like it never did. Like, so it was always like a very long, like 48-hour experience kind of thing. But but it was manageable when it was natural. But it was absolutely insanity for me. I like completely out of control, horrific pain for me versus for my last pregnancy and it was natural. They, at the very end, because her heart rate was not doing what they wanted it to, she wanted to break my water. And I was just like, oh my gosh, should we really do this? Kind of thing. Like, is she in the right spot kind of thing? And she broke the water and my next contraction was insane. And because of my inductions, I thought, oh my God, I have to go through like another day like this or something, But I literally had probably 2 contractions after she broke my water and then I was already pushing. So,
Okay.
I mean, it was just because the inductions for me, I was never one of those people that were like, and they gave me Pitocin and the baby just flew out. The Pitocin was like, my body hated it. It absolutely hated it. And the natural way, and her even breaking the water, I honestly thought I was like in for like sheer hell for like another day. And then it was just like she was there, like 15 minutes later. So yeah, natural and advocating for yourself is really important. And that doula, I swear, because I had 2 doulas. So out of my 5, I've had 2 doulas. And I just think they are amazing. Like, I think people think like, no, my husband's great. Like, that's all I need. For me, my husband is great. Don't get me wrong. But it was like so much better to have one other person that was there. And she did say like, why don't you try doing this to my husband? And, why don't you guys, try doing this and, like hold her here. And I just, my last doula was the most amazing person. And I don't think my birth would have went as perfect in my mind as it did without her. Yeah, doulas. Like, that's another thing I'd recommend. Doulas. I seriously, a good one, they are just like worth their weight in gold. Seriously, they are. If you get a good one, you're going to know it.
Mm-hmm. I do love the advocacy because I think when we are pregnant after loss, it's really easy to be scared of everything. Because I know I'm really feeling that right now. And so advocating for yourself is a huge one. But I think also, like for me, I was so worried, so anxious about everything going wrong. I think figuring out those thoughts and just pushing through the pregnancy to try and enjoy it, because I think your experience of pregnancy can be swayed, good or bad, just based on how anxious you are. And I think that can affect the baby. So I think kind of all of it is good too.
And I don't know, like, as far as, well, because you have a midwife, does that mean you're definitely going to have her no matter what? Like, there isn't anybody else on call? Like, it's just definitely her?
We chose to have him in the hospital.
Oh, okay.
So if there could be OBs there also.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because the midwives at the birthing center are different than the ones at the hospital.
Okay.
So we started to go to the hospital and like get to know those midwives.
Oh.
Because some people just have the worst bedside manner, I guess you would say.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Our next question is, what is your advice for those women who are struggling during pregnancy after loss? Jamey, you want to take that one?
It's okay. Like it's okay to be struggling, but don't struggle by yourself. Make sure you're having open conversations with your partner, with your friends, with your doctor, go to therapy, because it's okay. Like I said before, like feel the feelings, because if you don't, they're going to come out some other twisted way maybe, or cause more stress. Your feelings are valid. Like, don't think you're...
That's what I was thinking. I was like,
right?
You took mine.
I'm sorry, Jenna.
No, that's okay. I was like, that's all I can
like, yeah, like you're feeling... I don't think that... Yeah, right? Like, there's
no matter
nothing
what
to
you're thinking,
fix.
it could be completely out there, but it's valid.
Yeah.
So valid.
Now, if you're having like, like self-harm, that kind of thing, like, please, Like it is, please reach out for medical help for sure. But if you're more struggling of like, because it's scary or you think you're doing something wrong or you're just sad, like it's okay. Like, yeah, like Jenna and I are saying, it's valid, it's natural. I think a lot of people, more people than they admit, struggle during pregnancy. It's a whole change. You're in this transition period of like, you're seeing your old life kind of float away from you, and you're approaching this new life that is very unknown while you're probably still grieving your losses. There's a lot of stuff going on in the head. So just support, surround yourself with love. I don't know. I could talk about that for a long time. Jenna, anything else to add?
Oh, you said it all. Yes. I was just thinking that every thought, everything that somebody's feeling, nothing is wrong. Everything is valid. And like you said, just lean on your support people. And if you don't have anybody close, there are, medical professionals, like you said, like therapists and everything that are, good for and specialize with loss and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, don't feel like you have to be alone, because it feels so lonely. This kind of journey that at least that I was on just felt so lonely, even though I knew it wasn't common, 1 out of 4, but it just still feels so lonely because people don't talk about it enough. And like you said, when I put it on social media, there were so many people that were messaging me and telling me their stories that I had no idea, and I'd known them for how long. And I just like connecting with other people like that meant a lot, that they, trusted me. And I just feel like it shouldn't be such a taboo topic. I mean, 1 out of 4, it's, and that probably,
and then even with infertility, it's 1 out of 8.
Yeah.
So like, if that's where you struggle too, like, I mean, look into the social media community, or, reach out to one of us. I mean, regardless of where your journey is, I mean, we'd be happy to listen. I mean,
yes,
we're here.
Venting, I don't know. Does venting help you? It helps me. I mean, it doesn't like help me.
Bitching, but sure, venting works too.
Yeah, I call it venting, that venting. There's so many people that I just feel better after I just told them, they didn't have to say literally anything. I'm just like,
no.
Okay.
And I think that's something to, for the friends out there, maybe you're not struggling, but you have a friend that's struggling. And so you're listening. So one, awesome. Thank you.
Yes.
But just, you don't have to fix your friend, like just
even
be
though
like,
it's so
this
hard
sucks.
sometimes, that you want to try to help and fix, but just listening. I mean, and because I feel like so many people just don't honestly know what to say to somebody. And it's kind of an awkward thing, but you don't just have saying, I'm sorry, meant a lot to me, and like agreeing, like, oh my God, that really sucks, because it does really suck,
Yep.
Because it really does.
And it just validates that person's feelings and fears.
Absolutely.
And
Yep, I totally agree. Y'all said it great. Now, there are many women listening to the show who are trying to conceive over 40 and have experienced loss, but not pregnancy. What do you suggest they do now to make pregnancy more enjoyable? Who wants to take that one?
I'm going to let Jenna.
Ask Jamey, because she had the enjoyable pregnancy.
Oh.
Like hers was enjoyable.
It was. But I mean, it's hard because I paid a lot of money for mine. Like it took 10 years to get to mine, but I wasn't expecting to enjoy it. I'm not going to lie. I already said that. I wasn't expecting, but just feel all the things and listen to your body. But like I said, but also, when you're scared, vent that you're scared to your partner, to your family or your friends. Just don't hold the things in. Like just, let the feelings come out, whether it's journaling or to your people. Still hang out with your friends if you have the energy, or invite them over. I think that's one thing I didn't do enough of. I think I was just so comfortable being on the couch, and, I missed out on some stuff that, I didn't see a lot of people, and that was kind of a bummer. But I don't know, Jenna, anything else?
I think I totally did that. I think while I was
Okay.
trying to conceive, I closed everyone off
Yeah.
just because of the
Yeah.
pain. And I said no one else understood what I was going through. And I don't know that that was the right thing to do.
And now I mean,
Yeah.
you can't change it. You can start slowly inviting people back in if you haven't already. And, I know you already had your celebration for little dude. So, I don't know. Everybody's different. So I don't want to tell anybody to do something that doesn't feel natural to them. But also, it's okay to like sit on the couch like I did, but I wish I hadn't so much. Like I was a little too comfortable. Oh, and that's something after birth. If you have a vaginal birth, don't sit on a super, super soft couch. Your stitches will tear. You learn that from me. So, yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah. So don't. So if you sit for a long period of time after birth, make sure the surface is firm enough that when you get up, you have a little bit of support, so you're not tearing things. So that's just my PSA.
Jenna, you have anything to add?
Are we talking about after the baby? Because that part, I would say definitely just take as much time as far as like that. Because I always kept remembering, I saw it somewhere that they took a paper plate and they're like, this is the wound that you have, like on the inside from the placenta healing,
Mhm.
and that's why I was always like, no, you do that. No, I'm not going to get up because, like there's so many cultures that have this like certain amount of time, like in a bed, certain amount of time. I don't
40
know
days.
that. Oh, what were you going to
It's
say?
40 days. It was
Okay.
40 days is like the common
Yeah.
thing through some cultures is the
Right.
woman
And
stays in bed for 40
I
days.
love that though. I love
Hmm.
that, because that whole bonding and the skin to skin and all of that. So I think I changed the question because you were talking about through pregnancy, but after pregnancy, just you're healing. Don't do any more than you should. Like, don't ever feel like I got to get up. I got to do this. Like, no,
Hmm.
Yeah.
like if you can get a shower, it's a successful day. Like and even then,
Yeah.
some days you don't even get to do that.
Yeah. So, Jenna, we have a lot of listeners on the show who are trying to conceive over 40 and they have experienced loss, but not pregnancy. What do you suggest they do now to have a more enjoyable pregnancy?
Gosh, my pregnancy was so opposite of enjoyable. I don't know, just live in the moment because you're going to look back on it, even if it wasn't enjoyable, but it was still enjoyable because it was worth it.
Mhm.
And so everything I kept telling myself, like, this too shall pass. I always kept saying that to myself, like when I was throwing up and it was like 10 times, I'm like, this is gonna let up sooner or later at some point. So everything, no matter if it's, the thoughts that you have of, like going to the bathroom, that was so hard. Every time I went to the bathroom, I was always like, is there blood? But as the weeks go on and everything moves a lot faster than you think, once you're out of it, but everything like passes. So any pains, it's usually not going to stay permanent kind of thing, And I like with my back hurting, it was just like I felt lucky that my back was hurting for the reasons it was hurting, which sounds really dumb, but yeah, I guess I don't have anything
I think
really
I
great to
no,
say.
but like along those lines though, like so you didn't have an enjoyable pregnancy, but like if if you're nauseous during your pregnancy, that's a good sign. Like just keep reminding yourself like that means
That's what I kept
right,
thinking. I was
kind of
like,
like the
okay, so,
same.
like this is, my hormones are so strong that that's
Yeah,
why I'm having it this way this time, kind of thing.
just kind of try to flip the script, I guess. Like
Yes.
if it's not going great or you're not having a good day, just flip it though. Be like, okay, but a little heartbeat inside me is
Yeah.
doing it
Yeah,
because
that's
of
what
this,
I
or
was just like, it was
right?
always going to be worth it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything you wish you did differently during your pregnancy after loss? Jamey, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I think kind of just going back, I just wish I journaled more.
Mm-hmm.
definitely having more detail of how I was feeling week to week, because once she was here, I was in a fog. I wish I journaled more while she was here, especially because, like, don't ask me when she like smiled at us for the first time, or I have no idea. Like, don't ask. Yeah, before she was 5 months old, it's just a fog of blobness because I was at home full time by then. So I just wish I journaled more and kept more, documentation. Luckily, I'm sure there's pictures somewhere in my phone that hopefully documents it, but I don't know. And like I said, I wish I would have surrounded myself with people more. I kept people arm's length away. I didn't even, even my baby shower, it was so much fun, but it wasn't a real baby shower. It was a barbecue with 100 people, men, women, and which was perfect. It's more me. I didn't want like the frills and the games and but I wish I would have done something a little bit more intimate with just my girlfriends. Now that I look back, I would, because I wasn't the center of attention of that day, which is what I wanted in the moment, because I was still scared that this might not happen. So let's not, the baby is why you're bringing me gifts, but we're just all hanging out and you guys are going to drink beer while I, say hi to you, just in case this isn't really going to happen. So I wish I would have, done something a little bit smaller also, just, I don't know, to celebrate me, because, I deserved to be celebrated, but I was too scared. So I think that's the little things that I regret, but also like, they seem small now, but also I kind of wish I would have done them differently.
Mm-hmm. Jenna, what about you? What do you wish you did differently during your pregnancy after loss?
Actually, I don't have any regrets in that. I did as much as I could, like, to remember. I didn't journal. I'm not like a journaler. I wish I was, though. Now that I keep hearing you guys talking about it, I'm like, man, I wish I would journal more or at all. But I did, like if you saw my house right now, my house is just covered in pictures. Pictures for me are like, they mean so much. And so I love pictures. And I did all these like weird things, like where we had the girls and my husband paint their hands and then put them on my belly for like a picture. And it was before Christmas, so I had like a bow on my belly, kind of thing, and like the Christmas lights. I tried to do literally everything photography wise with like the things that you see for like pregnancy kind of things or whatever. And I love looking at those like nerdy things that I did. The one thing I didn't do, like beyond that, was, have you seen where they do like an actual, you can do a mold of your like chest and belly and everything?
Yeah.
Like I literally probably did everything but that. So I don't really regret anything, honestly. I love the pictures and I did the nerdy things that I wanted to do. So yeah, I don't have any regrets in that. I tried to enjoy it as much as I could, because the hyperemesis did let up. So that was great. And that I was like so grateful that actually started to go away, maybe at like 20 weeks or something like that. So that was a good relief. So no, I don't actually have any regrets. The last pregnancy and the last delivery were, even though they were after so much turmoil and everything, I look back and I find them to be perfect, even though I know they weren't. And yeah, I'm just grateful for all of the experience, because in a way, not the miscarriages and everything, but just everything, I'm just so much more grateful. And like when my kids are like fighting and everything, I always try to think, like, even though it's so hard, that if you're 80, how much you would kill to come back to this time, even though, like when they're fighting or when, the baby's crying like nonstop, you would like love to come back to that time frame, when you're 80 or something. So I try to always like think I'm just really weird that way, that I think really weird things that somehow make like something not as bad as it really is. You know what I mean? Like, not that my kids fighting is annoying, but that I just think of like weird stuff like that, like just weird stuff like that.
No, I love that. Those are things that I kind of think about too. Like, I think now that I'm coming to the end of my pregnancy, even though I've complained about my pregnancy,
Yeah.
I'm also like, oh my gosh, I'm really sad it's ending too.
Yeah.
I miss it so much. I think about that it's been over a year and I barely remember it though. Like it's so sad. And I'm like, oh, like I just want to be pregnant so I can remember what it was like with Winnie, but I don't need another kid yet. But like I want to remember what it was like with Winnie. Something that I did after she was born, it was kind of on the lines of what Jenna was saying, is I started Winnie a Gmail account.
Oh my gosh, yes,
And
yes.
and
I
so
haven't
it's,
sent anything, but I opened one.
I did, and I started sending her things, but it also has the documents that I think that she'll need one day,
Oh, okay.
like,
Yeah.
and so that was something my friends told me. They'd be like, like, oh, you walked today. And that was it. Like
Yeah.
type of thing. I did not do that. I forgot 2 weeks ago she started walking and I did not send her anything. So I should probably do that. But yeah, so if anybody's looking for an easy idea on like how to document things.
I set all that up and I
Yeah.
hardly sent anything. I'm so bad.
Our next question is, what do you wish more women people knew about pregnancy after loss? Jenna, you want to take that one?
Because people are kind, but I like that they kind of, I guess that's really hard. That no matter what you say, it's not, like, because I was kind of morbid in the beginning, that I was just like, well, if I miscarry now, and I think that people were probably like shocked at what I would say. I know my mom was like, don't say that. But like for me, for some reason, I just like, I don't know. I had to like try to like organize my thoughts and I said a lot of them out loud. And I guess for other people, I feel like just listening. I feel like listening is so important and just letting whatever that person has to say, if it's totally weird or not, just being like, oh, and not like, oh, wow, you're crazy and you need to go see a therapist right now. But, but just listening and giving people the grace because it is a completely different journey than just I'm pregnant and it just happened perfectly. And, like that kind of thing. It is a lot of a different journey. And all of a sudden some weird thoughts are going to come into your head and none of them are wrong, kind of thing. I mean, unless you're going to hurt yourself or something, like you're feeling depressed, don't get me wrong, disclaimer on that one. But just to accept whatever they have to say because it is a lot different journey than some other people have been on, and nothing is invalid. Everything counts, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Jamey, do you have anything to add?
No, I think that Jenna pretty much said it. Just, whether it's a friend or yourself going through it. Yeah. I mean, if you're completely joyful throughout the whole process, that's great. You're not forgetting your previous losses. You're allowed to celebrate. You're allowed to be scared. Both can be true at the same time. It's okay to ask the questions to the doctor and it's okay not to agree. It's okay to get a second opinion on things if you're not. Just listen to your body. I don't know. It's whatever you're feeling is valid, and that's whether you're pregnant without losses or not. I think it's harder to think that after all the losses. Sometimes we start doubting what our body's thinking or doing and our brains take over. So maybe try to just stay connected to your body and don't let the brain mess with you too much.
In the way, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I found a lot of people would stop asking me questions, like because they knew that I had experienced so much loss. They wouldn't ask me about my pregnancy.
Oh, wow.
And I just wanted to say, no, like I need some space sometimes, but yeah, let's celebrate what is happening right now and still ask me questions. And All of that.
Yeah, like let the pregnant person take the lead. Like if you ask the question and they say, I'm sorry, I don't want to talk about it, then respect that.
Yeah.
But always ask. Yeah, definitely always just ask how they are. And, as a maybe general opener for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And what haven't we discussed that we should be talking about more of when it comes to pregnancy after loss? Jamey, what do you think?
It's not your fault. The things that happened beforehand still matter. I just, regardless of like what the losses were from, if it was IVF, just a, just just a run of the mill miscarriage, whatever you want to consider them, whether it's stillbirth, you know, I want people to keep asking the questions, keep advocating for themselves, but don't let the doctors bully you. So that's, I feel like at our age, doctors like to fear monger us with that we're old and, we don't know what we're doing because we're so old and decrepit. I don't know. Just don't let them do that to you. I don't know. That's the only, like, that's the one thing that, I'll talk about all day is just like, that's probably my biggest regret is just relying on their professional opinion on, me having to go before 40 weeks, even though she ended up being born after 40 weeks. Weird. So, yeah.
Yeah. Jenna, do you have anything to add?
I want to, that it's possible that, that you keep going, that you don't give up. If there's something that you think about all the time and you can't stop thinking about it and it means something to you, don't let statistics or other people, say you're too old or, because there are other avenues. There are so many other things and different ways that just not to give up if, that there is hope in some way, shape or form, just that it's possible, that it's possible, because when you get, especially when I had 4 losses in a row, I never gave up. I never gave up. I just kept thinking that it was possible. And I'm lucky enough to say that happened for me and I didn't have to pursue other ways. But if it didn't happen, if just not to give up on your dreams, that, the way you guys had a different journey, and you didn't give up on your dreams and look at where you are now, and
Yep.
You're never going to regret the way you went, you're never going to regret that ever. So if, it doesn't work out this way and you have to go a different way, but you're never going to regret that. You're just never going to regret it because it's another soul and it's a miracle. And yeah, just that it's possible that, it is possible one way or another, it's possible.
I think we should be talking more about the loss experience. I think sometimes we do get pregnant and just forget about all of our losses. And I think as women, I would just love to keep that conversation going. And that, more as a community, let's keep talking about it. And everybody else, I would love them to understand all the different types of loss and what it might be like and what they might be able to experience and really to have a better experience through it.
Yeah. Talking about it and making it not so taboo and because people are so,
Mm-hmm.
I think the more you talk about it, then it's not, someday, hopefully that is so weird, because it is so common and talking about it, I don't want to say normalizes it, but I don't know, it just makes you feel not so alone,
Yep. Well, do y'all have any final thoughts before we end the show?
final thoughts. I'm like, I said it all. I can't add to it.
Okay.
No, I feel complete. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Jamey, would you like to tell us where listeners can connect with you on social media?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. It's private, but if you just, shoot me a message that you heard our story here, it's James82_. You can find me on Instagram.
Jenna, what about you?
I'm on Instagram, Snapchat, and Facebook, MCR, like My Chemical Romance. So MCR, I think it's Jen. And then my favorite poet, which is Plath. So it's something on Instagram.
I'm sure Jamey will tag us in this.
And mine's like an open page, so you can just like add me or whatever. But yes, I am very willing to talk to anybody, just to listen, because I have been there.
Ladies, this was such a tough topic, but I think we successfully talked about it without being like super sad. So thank you for that. This has been such a fun conversation.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for asking me back. This is nice. Yeah.
And that wraps up our last episode before I go on maternity leave on Over 40 Fabulous and Pregnant podcasts. Stay tuned for updates and when I come back from maternity leave. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you next time.